kind of briefly and on other shows,
Yep.
the absence of Sunday school and Christian education.
Yes.
So we need to get back into a new normal where people are learning again.
Absolutely.
So today we're going to dive into a little portion of the Sunday school lesson in the book of Nehemiah. Last week, y'all, we dealt with Ezra. Ron, we dealt with Moses. We dealt with Huldah, the prophetess. We dealing with Joshua. We dealing with these prophets and the prophetic mantle that was on the people in the Old Testament, and how the church can glean valuable leadership principles from this prophetic mantle. So, Ron, what chapter are we in Nehemiah?
Today's lesson is coming from Nehemiah chapter 2, verses 11 through 20. 11 through 20. And the title of this week's lesson is called The Restoring Builder. The Restoring Builder. And we'll see, some of us are familiar with Nehemiah, and we'll be talking about that. And I can probably imagine that Pastor Hill is very deep into Nehemiah. And like I said, the title of the lesson is called The Restoring Builder. We'll do a little background on Nehemiah. We know he was a cupbearer, and it was after 100 years after the first wave of Jews returned from exile, from, we would call Babylonian exile, but they ended up with the Persian.
Right.
And he was a Persian cupbearer, meaning that he would taste food for the king. Okay,
That's right.
and he heard about the state of his people, and that it was no protection for Jerusalem, for the temple, and the gates in the city was a wreck. And he wept and mourned, and you'll add to this, and he just couldn't believe that his people was allowing that the holy city to lie in ruin.
Gotcha.
And one of his interactions with the king where he was that, why should I be feeling good when my people are out there hurting?
Right.
And I just look at that myself. How can we, because we are the body of Christ, we're fitly joined together. We are believers. We are heirs and joint heirs. We are brothers. That's why I call this man my brother right here. And we are sisters, brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ. We're a family. If one hurts, we all hurt. That's how it's supposed to be. No big eyes, no little you. All of us are important. This man is the pastor of the church.
Mercy. That's right.
But everyone in the church is important.
That's right.
We are in the body. So y'all go ahead and
Let me set it up for you, Royal, and I know you're ready to take off theologically because you're being shaped.
Listen, I'm just here for conversation.
Listen, you brought out a great point. What he was, a cupbearer.
Okay.
I've noticed, and this is probably due to a lot of social media, no one wants to serve in little anymore. Look at. No one wants to serve in little anymore.
Okay.
And you being a church child, and remember when you was a little, people took pride in being armor bearers and serving in little. Before God can trust you with magnanimous, can you be found faithful serving in just little?
I think you're raising a very credible point, and I think it taps into me personally because if anybody were to have a conversation with my pastor, Dr. Anthony Middleton, he would tell you that before I announced any call to preach, before I was serving on anything, the first thing that I did, I was an armor bearer for his armor bearer.
All right.
Right. And so
I see you done messed me up.
One of the things, listen,
Right.
I'm about to paint the whole picture. One of the things that, because, okay, understand that I didn't, my immediate family were not really religious when I was growing up.
Okay.
And so it was me accepting my call to ministry that brought my family back to the church.
I got you.
Right.
Wow.
And so what I did, and what I found joy in doing is just being around my pastor on Sunday at service.
Cupbearer.
And so,
Cupbearer.
he had an armor bearer. He had an armor bearer. And so I was an understudy for his armor bearer,
Yes, sir.
learning the ways in which to serve.
Amen.
But one of the things that you get, and this is what I don't think people understand when they are looking for celebrity before they get the proper formation, is that what you understand and what I understood being a servant first, being willing, and still to this day being willing to serve, is that you get to be put in rooms and just listen to what is going on.
Yes.
And so, we were in positions with my pastor as he was talking to other pastors, as he was talking to associate preachers, and listening to theological forming conversation, right? And so to take that and to bring that to more of a macro level scale, right? God has the ability to put you in positions that will shape you if you just be quiet.
Ooh! Y'all hear that? So that's a word for somebody. Just be quiet.
Because listen, it's important. It's important that when you get into those serving roles, that it actually puts you on parallel to the relationship that one should have with God. Because if you learn to serve God,
right,
that is namely obedience, having a willingness of spirit to just give and pour wherever He says give and pour. That's when He will be able to pour into your cup and it run over.
My God. Give me some lesson, Ron. Give me some lesson.
Man.
He done burnt it.
said,
He done blessed us already.
Right there. He said, be still and know.
Be quiet.
That
Be
I'm
quiet.
God. And that is. Sometimes we got to sit down somewhere and listen to the Lord.
Be quiet.
Jesus said,
God.
I came not to be ministered unto, but to minister. Even when we studied Joshua, he was a servant. Paul said he was a bond. He made himself a bond servant. That's the type of servant that's under the bottom of the ship rowing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Think about
Yes.
Jeremiah. God told Jeremiah, look, you're going to go where I tell you to go.
Say.
You're going to meet who I tell you to meet. And then you're just going to say what I tell you to say. But I'm telling you, don't worry about all that. I'm giving you the words. I just go.
Listen, get into the word. Get into the word. Just a little bit more word.
Okay.
Get ready. Go ahead.
Let's get in there. The restoring builder, Nehemiah chapter 2, verses 11 through 20. And I'm going to throw this out there on those first couple of verses, 11 and 12. It said, what God puts in our hearts does not have to be shared immediately with everyone. Just kind of maybe think about that. So I came to Jerusalem and was there 3 days.
This finna bless me.
And I arose in the night.
3 days.
And I and some few men with me. Neither told I any man what my God had put in my heart to do at Jerusalem. Neither was there any beast with me, save the beast that I rode upon. Okay, y'all want me to keep going?
Go ahead.
And I went out by night by the gate of the valley, even before the dragon well, and to the dung point, and viewed the walls of Jerusalem, which were broken down, and the gates thereof were consumed with fire.
Stop right there. Stop
All
right
right.
there. He rode to the place of the dung point. I'm gonna say y'all missed it.
I didn't miss it. I'm with you.
Right.
I'm with you. Now,
Did you hear where he
he
listen?
went to the dung gate. Doc.
He had to go to the place. Y'all ain't shouting up there.
All right.
He had to go to the dung gate.
Okay.
He already saw what was ruined. But then he went to where it was work. He went to the dung. We know the dung gate.
He went to the dung gate that was in the ruins.
God
and
almighty.
didn't tell nobody.
Woo!
Now see, this is the criticism. This is the criticism for the everyday church goer. Can you step into the dung without telling nobody? Or do you need people to celebrate you? Do you need people to give you admiration? Do you need a pat on the back, a pat on the head every time you step into the dung gate? Or can you serve in the dung gate and nobody go live?
Ooh! Nobody show up.
Without nobody knowing, can you serve and nobody know anything about it? Or do you need to get those words of affirmation?
Ron, Doc, are you teaching tomorrow?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I have to get on tomorrow.
He said, I went at night to the dung gate. Y'all know what dung is. How many times are we developed for ministry in manure?
All right.
God sometimes
All right.
has to use the manure to develop us for ministry. I'm going to say it one more time for somebody. Because a lot of y'all want to serve, but you don't want to serve with the dung.
That's true.
And if we was on a worldly radio station, we could say some other things. But there's a grace that comes on your life when you sit at the dung gate. That's great.
So you really you all are painting edifying.
It's a
picture,
dung
right?
gate.
So it's a desolate place
All right.
because it's ruined.
All right.
It's a dark place
Because it's ruined.
and it's a dung place.
Oh my God. You hear that, boy?
You're surrounded by rubble. There's nobody in the city. The city's burned down. That's desolation. He went in nighttime. That's darkness.
Yeah.
And he's at the dung gate. He's in a situation here. He's in a desolate place. He's in a dark place.
And a dung.
And it don't smell good. He's in a dung place.
So there we have it. What God puts in our hearts does not have to be shared immediately with everyone. And it also says here that it's never wise to jump into a work or ministry without first learning the nature and the scope of the work.
Say that again. It's never wise.
It's never wise to jump into a work or ministry without first learning the nature of the scope and the scope of the work. You need to do some investigation. And we see that there. And like you said, he kept it quiet. The Bible said, what you pray in secret, go into your closet. And he will reward you openly. And we see Nehemiah's heart. Nehemiah is an example of a political leader who remained faithful to God and his purposes. He had a great passion for God's people. We saw that he wept, he cried, when he came upon the king and his countenance was down, and when he said, what's wrong with you? He said, I can't be happy when my people are out there hurting. I'm going to go to verse 14. Then I went on to the gate of the fountain and to the king's pool, but there was no place for the beast that was under me to pass. Then went I up in the night by the brook and viewed the wall and turned back and entered by the gate of the valley and so returned. And the rulers knew not whether I went or what I did. Neither had I as yet told it to the Jews, nor to the priests, nor to the nobles, nor to the rulers, nor to the rest that did the work. Then I said unto them, ye see the distress that we are in, how Jerusalem lieth waste, and the gates thereof are burned with fire? Come, and let us build up the wall of Jerusalem, that we be no more a reproach.
Can I
Go ahead.
interject? On verse 14, there was no room for my animal. It's so much in that, y'all. What brought you to your place? Whatever vehicle it was. The vehicle that you rode in or on brought you to a place where it should have had access, but it didn't.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
I wish we had time,
That's
bro.
it.
But it's I wish we had time.
Listen,
I'm telling you.
I think you're raising a critical point. I think you're raising a critical point because and people when they get tapped into this,
Come on.
by the end of the chapter, we see that they are engaging in the work of rebuilding.
Access.
Work with one hand,
War
and a weapon in the other.
I understand. You understand. You get to that point, but before they get to the place where they're able to build,
Okay.
there has to be a period of preparation.
Exactly.
And the preparation and the assessment of the ruins, and getting there on the donkey, and the donkey having no place to get through. There are things that you're taking with you in certain seasons, and it's not going to get through. There are places that God will take you, and what you thought was going to carry you over is not going to be able to get through.
And there's no access for it.
That's realistic appraisal.
Yeah.
Is what happened. And then so we have the prospective audience, but also it says God shows us needs.
Yes, sir.
And you might be able to comment on this. God shows us needs, but also supplies plans and leaders to meet those needs. So we as the people, we have leaders.
Right.
I can say pastor, a leader.
Just
That's
leaders.
why when you join a congregation, that's a serious commitment. It's not something that might necessarily need to be done, just
haphazard.
Absolutely. Because you're actually saying that I believe this man hears from God and wants my best interest. And he wants my best. He's like a shepherd, a leader. David said, the Lord is my shepherd.
Right.
I shall not want.
Right.
But we have pastors that are in position that are called by God to seek the Lord and then speak on behalf of God to the people and speak into the lives of individuals.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that this text teaches is that we do have officials, we have politicians, we have pastors, we have governors, and so on and so forth. But we also have cupbearers.
All right, my.
Because he didn't tell the Jewish leaders, he didn't tell the priests, he didn't tell the nobles, he didn't tell anybody in the administration what he was doing. Wow. They all had position, they all had power, but the vision came from the cupbearer,
a servant leader.
And so I think we want to be mindful of where we are in our churches, in our political affiliations, as to not discount the vision of the cupbearer.
May I ask this question? Is it possible that I'm so ruined by the ruins that I don't have capacity for vision anymore?
Absolutely. Because
I don't have capacity for vision.
Absolutely.
Because I'm too ruined by the ruins.
Absolutely. You begin to take on that. You begin to take identity of the situation. You begin to take the identity of the situation. And so that's why you have to be mindful of who's pouring into you. Because when you get into a situation and you see the rulers and the administration, they're giving him pushback. And later on in the text,
that's right,
they're giving him pushback because they had become comfortable with the ruins. They had become comfortable and content with Jerusalem being in the state that it was in. But the cupbearer said that God is going to be with us if we rebuild this thing together. And so it was the cupbearer that had to draw them out of what they had been comfortable in, because that wasn't the will of God.
Here we go right here.
Wherever
God is at work, there will be opposition.
Of course.
If we know we are in God's will, there is nothing to fear from others. Nehemiah, the Hebrew cupbearer of the Persian king, had a strong urge to rebuild Jerusalem. God granted him the opportunity to request from the king the authorization and materials to complete the task. Upon arriving at the broken city of Jerusalem, Nehemiah assessed the situation and then encouraged the people to begin construction. Nehemiah had turned his heart's desire into a positive action. All around us, there are broken walls of relationships that need mending in the name of the Lord. As God's people, we should be like Nehemiah, looking to be restoring builders who build broken walls and transform our God-given concerns into constructive ministries. Amen.
And hey, y'all, we're not out of talk, but we're out of time.
Right.
And as we close, we always say, this royal, I was glad
when they
said
said
unto me, let us go into the house of